Welcome back to the Strength Block podcast. It's been a little while. It's getting dark. We're still in winter, so it's kind of getting dark a bit early at the moment, hence light from our lounge.
I am hanging out for the longer days.
Yeah.
I'm over this like tiny short days.
I feel like it doesn't get that cold compared to some places in the world that you might be from, but it's cold enough for me and I'm over it. I'm ready for summer.
Yeah.
So we're going to discuss some different one topic? You want to just cover one today?
Yeah, we'll just cover one.
All right. What's
So
our topic today?
Today we're going to talk about what are some advanced training techniques and when should you implement them into your training.
Okay.
All right, so you often hear about these, the concept of like an advanced training technique. This could be like multiple different things. Like we're talking pyramid sets, accommodating resistance, all sorts of things. I just want to like go on a quick side note that like I do feel that sometimes people use the idea of an advanced training technique as a way of selling themselves as a fitness guru, right?
Yeah, like you might see a lot of them on social media.
There's like a lot of like, got to do this angle to hit this, so use this weird exercise, etc., etc. At the end of the day, advanced training techniques are just a way of changing the small amount of variables we have control over when we're lifting weights, which is like how we're structuring volume, how we're structuring intensity, and how we're like managing like a movement pattern.
Exercise selection.
Exercise selection. So basically, I think to begin with, you only need to start bringing in interesting ways of doing exercises once you've built your foundation. Yeah. We've got plenty of resources out on like linear periodization and how to build your base strength. But for most people, stick to the meat and potatoes. Just get your work done, get yourself a little stronger, stick to the tried and true exercises, and you'll be perfectly fine. You don't need to be doing any fancy stuff.
Yeah, you can get... It takes a while before you even need to change anything up. Like, you want to milk it for all it's worth, right?
Yeah. Like, if you're making progress, don't muck with it. Yeah. Right? Like...
Doesn't need to be fancy.
Yeah, you can literally just like go backwards. So let's just start with like, what are some of your favorite advanced training techniques? Like, what do you think when I say advanced training techniques?
What ones have I used? What ones have I seen you use?
Stick with what you know, because I'm all over the place, and I'll go into that in a moment.
Crazy shit in Damien's training, and if you go to our gym, I'm sure you've seen him doing some crazy ones as well. Like, how long have you been training for?
How old am I now? I'll be 37. So
next week.
I've been training for at least 17 years in the gym now. So
it's fair that you'd throw in a few advanced training techniques here and there to try, right?
Sometimes mine aren't necessarily advanced. I would say some of it falls into pure chaos. And an absolute gimmick. But
so probably the basic ones I've tried for a purpose, which I've needed, would be implementing like pause work, specifically pause squats at the bottom to strengthen coming out of the bottom of my squat, and below the knee deadlifts or even above the knee deadlifts. I've done a few of those bits and pieces.
So the reason why, just to add education to this, the reason why we would use something like a pause squat, right? I'm a big fan of pause squats, especially for people that are maybe entering that intermediate phase of their lifting, because for 99% of people, their weak point in the squat is going to be out of the hole, right? So coming back up. Now, you can throw as much volume as you want at a squat, but unfortunately, we spend the shortest amount of time in that weak area, right? Because we are literally trying to go from going down to going up, right? You're trying to reverse force and change. So if you're squatting correctly, you aren't spending any time. Now, the problem with that is we don't necessarily build like a consistent movement pattern where we are ending up in the same spot at the bottom.
Yeah.
And as soon as we have variance in where we're landing every time we're hitting depth in our squat, we're changing the joint angles and we're changing how strong we are in the squat. And that is why so many people struggle. It's like you do a set of 5, but even if you did 5 sets of 5, so 25 whole squats, you're spending what, like 0.2 of a second on the bottom of that squat. So in an entire squat training session, you're spending
hardly any time.
Yeah, like 5 seconds if you're lucky, like actually at your weak point.
Yeah.
So that's where pause work comes in. Have you found it quite effective for you?
I have in the past. Yep. That and pin squats probably are the 2 that I've used for my squat the most.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that would both of those, like squat to pins, pause squat, and then even tempo squats.
Yeah.
We can talk about like time under tension and like
I would say those are more like your beginner to intermediate, right? Training things to use, like your pauses and your tempo, time under tension.
And like we can talk
Most
like
people know about them.
The time under tension thing, I think, is a kind of a debated topic on like how important is time under tension, especially like a lifter like myself who like leans towards the explosive end of the power spectrum.
Yeah.
Time under tension isn't helping me. You know, I'm a person that like has to focus on moving as fast as I can because that's where my strength derives from. But a person like me also benefits from your pause squats, your tempo squats, and your like squats to pins from, like I said, greasing that groove, hitting those positions and making sure that every movement looks the same. Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you ever do any of it with anything else other than a squat, your deadlift?
You have, with the deadlift, you've got me to do a banded deadlifts before.
Banded deadlifts.
To work on the power.
Yeah, speed off the floor.
Speed. So that was one that I've tried before.
Okay. So just before we move on to that, the deadlift's a more interesting one with the pause because like the deadlift, the way it works with like the posterior chain is our hips often go out of position on the way up. So you will miss the top end of a deadlift, so the lockout, because of what's happening at the bottom end. it's like the wrong way around.
I feel like there's more variance in where people fail on the deadlift as well.
Yeah, 100%.
Compared to the squat.
Yeah.
Squat, most people, it's on the way up, just above the bottom, right?
Yeah.
Where deadlift, some are at the top, some can't lock it out, some don't even leave the floor, some are halfway, like it's all over the place.
Yeah, I would say if I were to rank how deadlifts fail,
there's
the bar didn't move off the ground.
Yeah, glued to the floor.
That one sucks because you don't know if they're just not strong enough or if they're just specifically weak off the floor.
I think that's me. I think that's where my deadlifts fail, is the floor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Then there is the like halfway up the shin, which is like breaks the floor and then just might as well hit a brick wall.
You get excited because it moves, and you're like, and it's over very quickly.
You watch the footage back and you're like, I think if I just pulled a little bit longer, it would have gone up.
But the worst one has got to be the people who are so close to the top. You've been cheering for them for ages.
Yeah.
They're really grinding it out, and they just can't lock those hips in or shoulders back.
You see, now, it's very funny because often you'll see someone, and this is where you got to be careful with advanced training techniques, especially when it comes to using them for weak point training. Because you'll often see if a person can't lock out at the top of the deadlift, right? Like just that little hips forwards.
Yeah.
An inexperienced coach or an inexperienced athlete, they're going to go back and they're going to do like high like pin pulls or block pulls to cover that top position, right? Like douche, lock those hips up.
Yeah.
You might even be like, just you don't have strong enough glutes, you know, like and you'll try everything. But 99% of the time, the reason they're stuck in those positions is because they actually lost position off the floor, right? So their hips shot up too much, and then they had to like roll the bar over their knees, and now their knees can lock out without pushing their hips forwards, and you're in this weird banana back thing. But that's why I think this is where we're going all the back around. Like, I do think for most people, they do benefit from like a pause deadlift below the knee.
Yeah.
Because it's not weak point specific. It's more just making sure that you're maintaining your positions at every point of the lift.
Yeah, including like, the strength through your back and everything to hold that position.
Yeah,
right.
yeah. It's just gets everything has to be in alignment, no matter what your leverages are for the deadlift.
Yeah.
And then the mistake that's made on the other version, which is the deficit deadlift, right?
Oh yeah, deficit.
Standing up on something.
Done that one, yeah.
Is people overshoot the deficit, and if you make the deficit too high, you can turn
You'll know about it.
It becomes like a squat. You know, like it doesn't mimic.
You end up having to bend your knees too much.
Yeah.
And then you lose your hinge completely.
Or you're in like the craziest stiff-legged deadlift because you're like leaning with your head between your knees to pick up a bar.
Yeah. True. That's a good one.
But you touched on like banded work.
Yeah, that's one I've seen you do.
Yeah, I've made you do it.
I don't like it because I'm not a powerful gal. Like, I'm slow and steady. Where Damien is powerful and he loves that power work.
Do you know what that type of exercise, what's the word? Like changing the exercise. Do you know what that family is called? Like when you're adding chains or you're adding bands.
I'm not sure what you mean. What is it called?
It's like what that group of exercises are called.
What is it?
It is accommodating resistance.
Right, okay, yeah.
So every time we've got non-straight weight on a bar, such as a band or such as chains, that is called accommodating resistance. This is also one that is hugely contested on whether or not it works, but I love it. Like, I absolutely love it. So basically it comes from, it was popularized, I don't know if it came from, like the West Side Barbell, Louis Simmons and his conjugate method.
Okay.
And in the conjugate method, you've got 1 day a week, you're maxing out a variation of a main lift. And then 1 day you're doing dynamic work. Because Louis believed that because strength and power are on the same spectrum, you need to like train them as such. So 1 day you're doing 100% work, and then the other day you're doing like 30, I think he was a fan of like 33%, because he was super specific about his numbers. Like 33% with like between 40 and 50% band tension.
Right.
It was like a bizarre. Like, I don't think anyone runs it like that anymore. And basically the idea was working on like the speed of your pull. Like pulling light things like they're heavy was the idea behind it. And in order to do that, you put bands on it so that like while you're pulling, the resistance band is creating more weight. It's pulling against you, and therefore you're having to accelerate through the lift. So it's teaching you to be fast.
In turn, so you take the band away and you should technically be quicker and stronger in your normal deadlift, right? Yeah.
And I think it does work. It just, as is the nature of any time you're using something that isn't straight weights, progressing it's a little bit weird. You have to start being like, oh, I pulled, because you can only do it you can only move like that at certain speeds anyway. So I mean certain weights anyway. So then the progression is how quickly are you lifting it. You know, so say I'm doing like a 50% deadlift and like one rep takes me 2 seconds, and then the next time I do it in a 1.8 seconds.
Well,
that's how we follow the progressions.
That's something else I've seen people use, which as more advanced coaches is where they have the thing that shows you how fast you've done each rep.
So that's like a velocity tracker. And yeah, that's getting into the real nitty gritty of training. And I think, to be honest, I think there is a lot of cool stuff that can be done with velocity training. I think it's more specific to power athletes. So So people that are like shot putters and stuff like that. I think for most gym people, if you want to use it, learn how to use it, go ahead. I don't think you really need to. I feel like the top powerlifters in the world and strongmen in the world, maybe they're doing it for like blocks here and there through their training, but it definitely isn't a major component on how they're lifting. But for me, the reason I use chains way beyond, or chains and bands way beyond what Louis Simmons prescribed is for the novelty of it feeling different.
There's a novelty factor to it.
There's like, I've like done so many deadlifts, so many squats, so many benches over the years that if I can get that force curve feeling different and challenging me in a different way without just adding more weight, because that's the thing, right? Like, I am never going to be a world-class athlete, and there are some ways that, like, for me to train as hard as I want to, I would have to add more weight, and it just starts getting dangerous.
Yeah.
My volume and intensity work starts getting too close together where I just don't recover from it. So I kind of use a lot of that stuff just to add variance to my programming. And you'll see, like, in the programming I've written in the Strength Block app, that there are times where I will be like, these can be banded pulls, but if you're not doing banded deadlifts, I just want this to be you to focus on speed to lockout.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of doing the same thing. And it's an absolute pain trying to set all that stuff up all the time.
So we've talked about squat, we've talked about deadlift a little bit, and I want to like get back to knowing what your probably crazy ones are. But before that, what are the most used ones for the bench? Like, where do most people fail on the bench, and what is the first kind of advanced technique you'd use for the bench?
Okay, first of all, I'm going to say, if you're failing at the bench, complete tangent, 99% of the time you aren't rowing enough.
Oh, there you go. Build your row
Build
first.
a big row, you'll build a big bench.
Yeah.
Right? Because the reason you're not able to bench is because your lats aren't holding together and you're not able to press off it. People generally don't fail a bench press, at least like beginner and intermediate lifters, because of the strength of their chest. They fail due to stability reasons. So first, increase your bent over row as much as you can, and then we'll talk about changing it. But in saying that, once you've checked all those boxes, it's funny, like we brought up the pause work before. In the wonderful world of powerlifting, that is the bench press, right? It is a pause rep.
Yeah.
Which, I don't know, a little bit strange. I understand it so that you can coach, you can
Like monitor
you
it
can
to
monitor
make
it
sure
better.
Yeah.
Yeah. But otherwise, yeah, most people are going to be weak just off the chest. So they'll probably like 2 inches to like a fist off the chest is where most people fail. It's a similar thing that's happening in the squat when we're going from like driving with the hamstrings and the glutes to the quad, like that weird changeover moment.
Yeah.
It's the same thing with the bench where we're going from like pressing with the chest to the shoulders and the triceps having to do most of the work. So that is where most people fail.
So what would you get people to do as the first kind of?
The first thing, with the bench press, I think most people are going to benefit the most from, first of all, just changing the leverages of the bench press by changing the angle. So the one I would normally move to would be like a low incline bench, because it kind of takes the bias out of the chest, places it a bit more on the shoulders, and targets that weak point, right? So that's very specific weak point training. But if we were going to go for like specific bench variations, like flat bench variations,
Yeah.
Your pauses, your tempos, all that stuff is important. But I think it's putting you for the bench, it's putting you at a disadvantage is more important. What I'm saying is being able to move less weight Let me start that again. I would start by making you use only the muscles that you're trying to use for the bench press. And the way I would do that is I'd normally start with a Larsen press or a feet up bench. So that's removing a lot of your arch, a lot of your ability to draw power, and kind of cheat and wiggle a bench press up, right? You can't turn it into a decline bench, which is what most people want to do. When you feel your butt rise off the bench, that's because you're trying to get yourself into an advantageous position, because like your shoulders and your triceps aren't strong enough, so you're just trying to put it there. So yeah, I think that would be an advanced training tip I would use. I would use a variation of the bench that is a Larsen's press or a feet up bench is the way I would go.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on those two lifts? Do you have a favorite out of those?
What, feet up?
Feet up or
Compared
Larsen's?
to Larsen's where it's hanging over the edge.
Yeah, zombie bench.
They both kind of feel the same to me. They don't feel too different.
Yeah.
Like it takes my leg drive out of it. I use a lot of leg drive, so once I have to take my legs out, then it's all the same, really.
How much do you lose? Do you know? Like, how much do you lose if I forced you to max out one of those? It is a bit weird because you like wobble on the bench, right? You can't stabilize yourself
it's the
either.
Stabilizing.
Yeah.
I don't know if I lose heaps though. Like I think because I can retract my lats and get them real stuck into the bench.
Yeah.
And use my back, that I can still press quite a lot with my feet up.
Yeah.
And I still manage to keep a really strong arch, even though my feet are up, and I think that's very helpful.
Yeah, that's cheating.
Whereas maybe if I couldn't arch as much or I wasn't as good as using my lats, I'd struggle more, and it would take like a giant drop, you know?
I think one of the most underrated, now that I'm just thinking about it, you're putting me into coach mode. One of the most underrated ways of building a bench press, because you can do it heavy and you can knock out lots of volume and nothing breaks very easily, is a floor press. And the interesting thing about a floor press is the point, first of all, your shoulders are safe because they're flat on the floor. You're not going to like extend them and pop them out.
Such a weird movement, the floor press.
But it's like because of where your elbows hit the floor, you are generally maybe a little bit higher, but you're about at that weak point as well. And you can, because you've got so much contact to the floor, you can actually like safely press out max, like heavy loads for way more reps than you would be able to do with your shoulders floating.
But you've got
freely.
Zero momentum. Like you're going from zero.
Yeah,
right?
I mean,
like there's no power at all.
When I say like heavy loads, I don't mean like in comparison to your bench. I mean like relative to the floor press.
Yeah.
Like if you can do 80% for 5 on a bench press, you might be able to do 85% with the like 85% of your floor press 1 rep max. I'm a big fan of floor presses, and I don't see them enough.
Yeah.
They're really good, and especially if you're an athlete with like dodgy shoulders and you need to still get some bench volume without wrecking yourself. That is a good one.
Or if you're training in a commercial gym and all the benches are taken all the time, take it to a squat rack and do a floor press.
I'm a huge fan of going to commercial gyms and doing weird exercises, but you do them heavy enough that people are like,
Can't judge you.
I think he knows what he's doing.
Must be an athlete.
Yeah, the guy must be a coach.
Some weird ones in general, so not necessarily squat, bench, deadlift, but I've seen Damien do. Kettlebells and bands hanging off a barbell overhead.
yeah.
Stability. Like
the Joel Seedman stuff.
You generally don't see people doing this in a commercial gym very often, but that's probably one that I've seen Damien implement.
I generally do use that for like rehab stuff. Like, and again,
it's all about stabilizing, right?
It's all about stabilizing, and it's just ways of being like, hey, we're going to find your bar path really
Even on
well.
bench press with that, right? Like the bands with the kettlebells. It's like,
yeah.
It's like they used to do with the bamboo bar.
Yeah, so that's called a tsunami, an earthquake bar is the bamboo version. There's a tsunami one, which is like the one that looks like it's made out of a pool noodle, which is a whole different thing. I would, if by any chance anyone can send me a free earthquake bar as having a person with a podcast,
He'll review
I will review it, and I will create some wild content with it.
Damien's like ultimate if he could do anything, it would be reviewing equipment, trying out equipment and reviewing it. So if anyone wants to send equipment our way.
Are you paying influencers to do it? Because I'll do it for free. You send me equipment,
Yeah.
I will review it, I will take it to its limit. Come on, let's
Will you give it
do
back or?
No!
Yeah, well,
Maybe. I will tell them I'll give it back and hope they forget. But yeah, like, so I think what we're getting to is the fact that, like, when we think of advanced training techniques, because we haven't touched on like anything that bodybuilders do, it's all performance based. So it's all about like, it's like a little puzzle and like, here's the different ways. And I think people get really lost in it because they think there's one answer to everything.
no. Yeah.
I used to, when I was learning how to coach, when I was trying to learn how to become a strength coach, I remember getting so frustrated because I thought it was like A plus B equals C. So I'd have a client and something would be happening in the squat. And I'd be on the internet being like, squat fails halfway up. What is the movement I'm supposed to give them to fix it? Like, I thought there was like a corresponding accessory squat to fix the squat movement, blah, blah, blah. But in all honesty, most of it bleeds everywhere. Like,
and there's multiple things you could implement.
Yeah,
as
yeah.
well. So, yeah.
So like, don't get too lost in it. And when you see, like, I sometimes feel bad because I'm like, if you were to look at my Instagram, you'd be like, that guy is absolute chaos. He's clearly strong, so he knows what he's doing, and look at all these weird things he's doing to get strong. I would argue that most of the things I do on Instagram that are weird and interesting are expressions of strength I have built doing boring stuff. Like I'm not going to put up me squatting 3 reps. Like, it bores me.
Yeah.
You know,
that's the thing. You don't want to put up the stuff that, I mean, you do day
I do
in, day out, because that's where things, how you progress is just by doing the same shit every single day. But no one wants to watch you do squats on your Instagram all the time.
You want to see a 3x10 Romanian deadlift?
So
I don't.
Yeah, exactly.
I would swipe away from it.
You're putting up the interesting stuff.
Yeah, so they're expressions of strength, and I wouldn't say they're advanced training techniques. I think that's super important to realize. But yeah, the way we look at the implementation of advanced techniques, not that any of these are advanced, most of these were actually just like weak point training using different movements, which basically just put you at different leverages, which makes the movement hard, and then you just get good at the bad leverage, and it makes the other movement easier. And this shit doesn't even have to be complicated, right? You don't need like a crazy variation. If your squat's plateaued, find out what happens if you squat without a belt for 8 weeks, and then put a belt back on, and see if your squat's gone up, right? Like, it's literally just changing a tiny variable that makes the movement harder or less advantageous, getting good at it, and then going back to what you were doing, and it just feeds into itself over and over again. One of the advanced training systems that I think 99% of people shouldn't muck with unless they know what they're doing is overload training. Okay, so everything we spoke about is forms of weak point training.
Yeah.
Overload training is where you're doing more than you're capable of doing. So, for instance, a lot of this stuff's very hard to set up, but if I were to take, say you can squat 100 kgs, and I would load 120 kgs on the bar, and I would make you step back and squat that slowly down to the pins, knowing full well you aren't going to come back up. So an eccentric squat, that kind of stuff is overload training. It is ridiculously effective.
Yeah, eccentrics always are. I feel like they wreck you.
But they are the quickest way to overtrain and just end up in a hole, because you are literally like, hey, nervous system, you can do this, handle more than you can do. And it's like, it has its place.
You're working to your nervous system to the max every time.
It's kind of what happens in your last block before you're competing. We call that overreaching, right? When it's like, I start making you like deadlift like, I don't know, 3 sets of 2 at 97%, and you're just surviving each thing. You've done all this work, but you feel like you're about to crash out. That's overreaching. Now, overloading is when you're using movements that are like even beyond that, right? You're going beyond your limits, and you're only doing like half a movement. You do see it a lot more in bodybuilding, where you'll see like people like curling and then someone's like assisting them, you know, like forced reps.
Or like taking plates off as they go or something.
Yeah. Like forced reps, drop sets, all that kind of stuff is kind of a form of overload training, except it's very different when it's volume.
Yeah.
Because that's less directly taxing on your overall like CNS.
Yeah.
But when you're overloading using maximal weights past your points, it is good fun though. And yeah, you'll see like all sorts of eccentric training. So that's like a really advanced thing. And I think it's not going to have a part in many people's lives, to be honest. But yeah, just to quickly touch on the bodybuilding stuff, all of their advanced training stuff. I say them as though it's like the other group.
Guys.
All those non-performance based training people, they're just manipulating volume through drop sets, pyramid sets.
We really focus on strength a lot and performance. So I actually probably am unaware of a lot of their advanced training techniques that bodybuilders might even use. You know, like the band training. What is that?
The what?
You know.
The band occlusion training.
Yeah.
Like
things like that, like the blood flow
blood
training.
Flow restriction.
Like,
there's
so many different crazy things.
That's even like another level, right?
That's what I mean. Like they've got some of their own that I would have never tried myself.
Have I never made you do occlusion training?
We don't have the stuff.
Sophie came into my life after I had gone through my occlusion phase. Basically,
should we bring it back?
I don't like training arms. So when occlusion training became the cool thing, I found out you could just like grow arms with like a few sets. But it is insanely.
Yeah, but Damien also is neurodivergent and doesn't like the feel of like a pumped muscle. Well, I'm all good with it, so maybe I should do it.
I don't want a cock ring on my biceps. Like it's just doesn't feel right. Maybe we should get you into some occlusion training, which it has its purpose for rehabilitation. It is actually a really good form of training.
Well, I've seen people grow their glutes with it.
Of course. But people also get blood clots and die because they do the wrong kind of pressure. So
we still need that blood flow.
Yeah. But then most of the advanced training techniques you'll see in bodybuilding are like, so your pyramid sets, your reverse pyramids, all of that. And I think, I could be wrong about this, like it's a way of like, I could make you do like 5 sets of 10, because volume's the main goal in bodybuilding most of the time. I know they do get stronger, but like I can make you do 5 sets of 10 for 50 reps, but mentally you're probably going to start checking out by the second or third set. But if I make you do set of 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 10, 8, 6, you get to the same amount of volume. You've just done it in a different way.
Mentally it's more interesting.
Yeah, and also you get to manipulate weight so you can get stronger. So that's what's going on there, rather than just blasting with weight. They also will rotate. You see so many variations of exercises in bodybuilding because unlike just getting strong, where we're trying to specifically target movement patterns to get stronger, they want muscle to grow, get your shoulders to grow. And when you get to the point that you can't add additional volume, you have to cycle in a different movement that changes the leverages. So that's what's going on in bodybuilding. I'm not very proficient at it. Like it's too much with not enough payoff for me. I don't care how much I can lateral raise.
Do any of our plans on the Strength Block app include any kind of advanced training?
Oh, yeah. If you do any of the series use the code podcast for 20% off your first month on the Strength Block app. If you do any of the revenge, the Power Builder plans, I think the first one's pretty easy. Yeah. It's still going to have supersets, which is technically an advanced training set. It has EMOMs in it, which is a very Damien specific way of strength training.
Yeah.
Everyone's always surprised when I make them do it.
Yeah.
But then as soon as you get to the bigger plan, which is Revenge of the Power Builder, things get pretty wacky. Lots of variants, lots of like random stuff. So if you're after some weird training things,
if you're looking for a plan,
Revenge of the Power Builder on the Strength Block app. If you're looking for even crazier things, but you don't want to build strength, you're just more about performance and hypertrophy, ADHD, attention deficit hypertrophy disorder. We have a plan on that, and that is chaos.
Changes up every day.
That is me throwing everything I know at the wall to make you do as much volume as possible.
That's from Damien's heart.
Yeah. But
Yeah.
on that note, if you are actually just like preparing for a powerlifting comp or anything like that, don't mess around. Just stick to the meat and potatoes. Get what needs to be done. It's what the best people are doing. I think that advanced training techniques are 99% of the time are just a way of keeping us engaged with training, especially someone like me who should have been bored by now.
This video ends up always being put on YouTube. So if you have tried any advanced training techniques that you've enjoyed or the ones that you've hated, or I don't know, maybe you've injured yourself with one of them, write them below. I'd love to actually go back and have a little look.
Yeah. Let us know. All right. So like I said just before, we do have a strength training app that takes all the guesswork out of training. It's called the Strength Block app. It has a 14-day free trial. And if you use the code, I'm fairly sure it's podcast. Hope it is.
Have a look in the notes.
Use the code podcast. You'll get another 20% off your first month. So that's 14-day free trial, 20% off your first month. Yeah, and we highly recommend it.
Yeah.
We put a lot of work into it.
We have.
But yeah, that's us for today.
Hope you've enjoyed it. It's a bit of an interesting one.
I'm going to go to my parents to have dinner now.
Family dinner.
Yeah. All right.